Hello. Howdy. How's it going? Actually, don't actually answer that because I kind of just don't give a shit. My name's Salty. I am also known as Ryan. You can ship it over on Twitch. I'm everywhere, okay, with a whole bunch of different names. This is my new channel that I'm making because I cannot post the controversial content over on my main gaming channel without the algorithm pitching a fit. So I'm making this new channel for all of you who are new here, for all the OGs who already know me. That's what this is gonna be. This new channel is gonna be me saying horrible shit over here that nobody else is willing to say. So if that's your thing, hit the sub button, because I'm not going away anytime soon. But yes, today's video, I suppose we should just get right into it. Oh boy. How should I word it? I think that most trans people who claim to be transgender are not actually transgender. Is that controversial enough? I hope so, but let me get into this. So there's basically a whole bunch of posts online and social media and TikToks about people who have detransitioned and regretted it afterwards, and it's getting more and more common. For context, I forgot to mention this earlier. I am a detransitioner, okay? That's why I feel like I am uniquely qualified to speak on this subject, hence the voice. I'm not a guy. I am a born female. I transitioned to become a man, and I was on hormones, on testosterone for like a year and a half, hence my lovely, lovely deep voice. And I detransitioned in like 2020, 2021, and here I am now. I've been detransitioned for like 2 years now. So, yes, that's context for all of you who are new here. But what I'm going to be speaking on today is a Reddit post that I found that I feel summarizes pretty perfectly a lot of the stuff that I'm going to say, so I don't have to do as much work. It says, and I will put it on screen for you, I don't hate my femaleness anymore. Is that even a word? Oh well. Why am I trans? For context, I am a female to male to female because there are a female detransitioner person. I was diagnosed with gender dysphoria at age 15. There lies one of the issues, but let's move on. Got on testosterone the same year. Another issue. After much consideration, I came to the realization that my dysphoria was the result of 3 major things. 1. I hated the role women and girls played in society. I wanted to be taken seriously like boys are. Similarly, I hated how boys treated me like an alien every time they talked to me. 2. I felt like I was too masculine to be a girl. I hated shaving my legs, wearing traditionally feminine clothing, and I couldn't relate to any of my female friends at the time. 3. I felt gross as a pubescent female and wanted to be strong and hot like the men I was attracted to. I wanted to be seen as something desirable, and I thought that if I was a masculine woman and wanted to date men, I never would be. So I'm gonna break this down and go through this here. Another reason why this is just so common, and the reason why I state the things that I state is because when I transitioned, incorrectly, mind you, these were some of the things that were on my mind when I transitioned. I like to call stuff like this artificial dysphoria, because all the things she's stating, she doesn't actually have body dysphoria. She doesn't feel like she's a woman or like a man in a woman's body. She doesn't have issues with her actual parts. Her brain is having issue with the ways that society has viewed her and the way that she's being treated as her role in a woman, or as a woman in today's society. And so her brain is telling her, oh, I don't like how I'm being viewed as a woman. I must not like being a woman. Men, to her and her point of view, have it so much easier, and they're the things that I look up to, so I must naturally, if I don't like being a woman, I want to transition to become a man. I must be transgender. And then they go through this and they confuse themselves, and they try to pretend that their issues that they're going through is dysphoria, and it's not. It's something that your brain has tricked you into. Like the definition of, let's look this up. What's the definition of artificial? Artificial is made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. All of this dysphoria that people talk about, especially women who want to transition to become men, who state that they don't like the way that they're treated in society. They don't like the way that women are viewed. They don't like often the sexuality, or how sexually like they are like treated in society, how men view them, how they're often very sexualized, and they don't like that. And they get it into their head that because they don't like that, they think it's dysphoria. That is not dysphoria, okay? Dysphoria is something completely different. And so, the problem that I see amongst other things with this is that so many people, I see it on TikTok, I see it everywhere, so many people get into their head and then they transition, especially when they're young. This person was diagnosed with gender dysphoria when they were 15 and they got on testosterone at the same year. Your brain doesn't even develop on average until you're like 24 to 26. And doctors, actual doctors, are diagnosing people with gender dysphoria and handing out HRT, hormone therapy, like candy, and basically destroying these people's bodies when they're not trans. Did this person ever go to a therapist? Why was this doctor? She just basically went to a doctor, said, I think I'm trans, and then they gave them hormones that will permanently alter their entire, like, their body in ways that they can't ever take back, just willy-nilly. And so that's also an issue that's just ridiculous and everywhere, is doctors handing this shit out like candy. And some people like to say that it's not that easy. In my country, you have to go through all of this therapy. And sure, in your country. I'm talking about the United States of America. That's where I live. You can go to Planned Parenthood, say, hey, I think I feel like a man today, and they will give you testosterone the very fucking next day with a prescription that insurance covers. People are so obsessed with being pro-LGBT that they end up going too far into the spectrum and they end up hurting people. It's not good, to be frank. And there just needs to be a line. People who, if you think you are trans, for instance, if you are a teenager, like below 18, because once you're 18, it's your mistake to make and you can do whatever the fuck you want, because that's what I did. When I transitioned, I was 18, okay? Nobody is responsible for that but me. That was my mistake to make, and I made it, okay? And now I'm educating, or trying to, all of you, on some of the mistakes that you can make. And it's just, if you are younger, and you think that you might be trans, go to a therapist, an actual therapist. Don't go to one that's like super pro-LGBT, because they will not help you the way you think they're going to. Don't go to one that's anti, though, because that also does the wrong thing. Go to a neutral one who is going to actually help you sort through the issues and why you think that transitioning to the opposite gender will actually help you. Because chances are, if you are not actually feeling true gender dysphoria, and you're like this person on Reddit, who has all of these other issues that make them think that being a guy will solve their problems, it's not going to help you. You need to sort through all of these other issues that you're having, and then reevaluate if you think you're going to be transgender. For me, I was dealing with a lot of issues, mental issues with identity, all throughout. When I was growing up, I thought, oh, I think I'm gay, oh, I think I'm lesbian, maybe I'm just bisexual, and then I went to, oh, I think I'm asexual, I think I'm aromantic, and I had a lot of issues, like, with identity growing up, and I didn't know how to fucking deal with it. And then I went online, you know, as everybody does, and tried to find somebody online that can relate to me, maybe somebody who, like something, just something to help, you know, something to help me figure out what the fuck was going on up here, alright? And that's how I stumbled upon people who were transgender. And all the YouTube stories, and they seemed so successful, and there was like, oh my god, they transitioned, and it solved all of their problems, and they're so happy now, that must be what I need to do. It'll fix my problems. I can take all the issues that I'm having right now with me in my head, and I can push them aside and be someone else. And I don't have to deal with those issues anymore, because I'm gonna transition to be someone else. That is not the solution. And if you think that's what you're doing, you are not transgender, you have issues. You need to go see a therapist, and you need to sort that shit out. And I unfortunately didn't. I didn't see a therapist, I transitioned. And then I eventually figured out, after a year and a half on hormone therapy, thank you, that I wasn't transgender, it was kind of rough. Alright, it was kind of rough, because not only did I realize that I had destroyed permanently parts of my body that I will never get back. I luckily did not do any top or bottom surgery, but my voice will never go back to the way it was without surgery, and even with surgery, it probably won't be fixed, and it could just fuck it up even more. Not only did I realize that parts of my body were completely destroyed, but the issues that I was dealing with before I transitioned in the first place, my identity issues, were still there. They never went away. Just because I transitioned, they didn't magically, in a magic potion, they didn't just disappear and float off out the fucking window like all the fucks I give, okay? It didn't. They don't go away. They don't go away. They won't go away. When you detransition, if you transition for the wrong reasons, all the problems that you have, that you tried desperately to get away from, to escape, right? Depression, anxiety, social anxiety. I don't like being a woman, or I don't like the roles that men are supposed to provide. Women have it so much easier. I'm gonna transition. It's still there. When I detransitioned, it was still there. That was when I realized that, hey, I transitioned to get rid of these issues, and they never went away. All the shit, I still had to figure it out. I still had to sort through my identity issues, being asexual and aromantic, and I still had to figure that out. I'm 22, 23, I don't know how old I am, and and I'm still sorting through shit, okay? And transitioning was not the right move for me. So there's that paragraph done. Next, it says, all of these things put together made me not only want to be a man, but also hate my body because it didn't allow me to be one. Everything female about it became disgusting to me to the point where I couldn't even bear looking at it most days. I used to wish that I had a male body through and through, and I did everything beyond bottom surgery to get myself there. So this person, this is what I was talking about artificial dysphoria. All the things that she hated about being a woman made her think that she had gendered or body dysphoria because it made her hate her body because she wasn't a man. But that's not body dysphoria. It's not. It's just you having issues about being a woman, and it's not you wanting to be a man. You need to sort through the issues that you have and that you're dealing with. She said, I've been living very comfortably as a passable man for the past 4-ish years. That's longer than I was. Oops. That was 4 years. Since I began my transition to male, however, I've come to realize that no matter what else I do to my body, I will never actually be male. And within the last year, I've realized that I actually don't want to be one. If I woke up tomorrow morning with a male body, I'd be extremely dysphoric. When I ask myself why I continue to live as a man despite my lack of dysphoria surrounding my female body, I find myself going back to the original reasons I had for wanting to be a boy. The third one I listed is no longer a factor because I've learned to love my body for its uniqueness. The first and second, well, why is it my problem that society treats women and girls like shit? Why is it my problem that society expects women and girls to behave or look like certain ways? These reasons just feel bullshit to me now, and I'm beginning to feel really sad that I did this to my body, so where do I go from here? If I could talk to this person, I would say, don't give up. I was on hormones too, and I'm fine. But it's... They said that they came to realize that no matter what else they did to their body, they will never actually be male. And I believe that they mean that no matter, like, their fantasy about what a man is, you know, the privileges that men have, that all men are big and strong and attractive like the ones she wants to be, but her idea of men in her head, she realized she is never actually going to be. Because it doesn't fucking exist, all right? Men don't have it brilliantly, and men don't have life easy. They're not treated spectacularly better than women, despite what people seem to think. And so she realized that it's never actually going to happen, and she realized that she actually doesn't want to be. That was kind of what I did. I realized that, hey, I actually miss being a woman, and so that's what made me realize that I wanted to detransition. And, yeah, they said the third factor is no longer listed because she's learned to love her body for its uniqueness, and that's also very fair. And then she realizes that it's not her problem, and all the reasons that she wanted to transition in the first place by how society views her and how women are socially expected to be, like not shaving your legs and all those things that she identified as masculine, realized that that's not her problem. You can be a woman and like to wear, you know, men's clothing. You can like to do men things. If you were a kid and you like to play with dinosaurs and with guns or Nerf guns and shit, that doesn't mean you're trans. That doesn't mean you're trans. You can be a tomgirl. Or a tomboy, whatever the fuck it's called. People are way too fast when they're children to jump onto the bandwagon of the LGBT thing, when in reality, very, very few people are actually trans, okay? If you have gender dysphoria, there are people out there who are trans, but most people fucking aren't. They're not. If you have these issues or issues like this where you just don't like how you're viewed in society and you transition, congratulations, bud. That's your fucking fault, all right? You're not transitioning for the right reasons, and there are so many people over here who are learning that the hard way, just like me. And so here I am, trying to bring awareness to the mistakes that people make. And part of it is not their fault. I don't blame this person for transitioning. A lot of it is when people are kids, they're very susceptible to really wanting to fit in, you know, to finding their place in society. And a lot of people have anxiety and, you know, all the kids that teenagers go through, right? They don't know who they are and they're trying to figure it out. And a lot of people in the LGBT community I've seen really encourage people. Like if somebody comes on and posts, I saw a post just today when I was looking through this shit about a guy posting on the Detrans subreddit asking, hey, am I trans? Because I'm fine with my body. I don't have dysphoria, but I like when I play games, I like to play as female characters. And I asked some people in the LGBT subreddit if that makes me trans, and they said, yeah, you're probably trans. What? That's fucking insane, okay? You don't... Ugh. Too many people in that community push transition on people who should not transition. Transition should be a last resort. It should be a last resort because it's not easy, okay? Being trans is not easy. It's not hip, all right? It's not cool, all right? If you are actually trans, it is a mental battle that you fight with what your body looks like versus what you imagine yourself in your head. It's not fun. Okay, it's not cool, all right? It's not something that you should just jump into. Transitioning should be a last resort because gender dysphoria is something that people, it's not normal. As much as people want to normalize being transgender and say that, hey, it's you know, being trans, it's normal, you know, it's totally fine. It's not normal. It's not. Your brain is not wired right. I'm not saying that you're any less of a person. You're not. But don't try to make people think that it's normal. It's not. The reason that people end up transitioning is because they have a mental illness called gender dysphoria. And the only way that they can lessen the symptoms of dysphoria is by transitioning into the other gender that they feel comfortable with. And that's the only thing that they can basically do to make themselves feel better. That is gender dysphoria. It should be a last resort. It should not be the first thing that you do. And all of these people in this community pushing this shit, especially on young kids. No one should be taking HRT or hormone blockers or whatever the fuck before you're 18. Okay? No one should be. Because you're still growing. Your body's still developing. You start taking hormone blockers and puberty blockers and other hormones, it's gonna fuck with your body. Like, just... Children, especially this person who was 15, should not ever be making these kind of permanent, life-altering choices. And parents should not be okay with this at all. You can support your child and say, hey, dress however you want, identify as however you want, but you're not changing your body until you're 18 years old. I understand that some people might have, you know, people who are actually trans might make it difficult for you, but there are other ways to sort that out. People need to stop pushing the LGBT agenda on to kids who don't fucking deserve to be borderline manipulated like this by people on the internet who they paint being trans as this beautiful fix cure-all for people. And sure, people who are actually transgender, live your life, all right? Be happy. It's none of my business, except this is. But whatever. But don't encourage people to transition when they shouldn't. Leave that to therapists, okay? Don't be pushing these kinds of big things onto kids who should not be involved in any of this. It's just, it causes issues. It ruins lives for people because now this person, oops, I just spilled my coffee everywhere, said, I'm beginning to feel, those reasons feel bullshit to me now, and I'm beginning to feel really sad that I did this to my body, so where do I go from here? It's, you fucking, why? This shit needs to stop because it's ruining kids' lives. And a lot of people I see have detransitioned and noticed all of the changes, the permanent changes to their body that they cannot fix. And an issue that I had when I transitioned, or when I detransitioned, because I passed perfectly, I mean, I was a woman, and then I tried so hard to transition into becoming a man and to pass, right? It took me ages. I passed better as a man than when I detransitioned. You know how crazy that sounds? I was a man when I transitioned to become a man. I passed just fine. I detransitioned to become a woman. My voice is deeper. My body have lost its curves, and I get misgendered as my own gender. You know how fucked up that is? And I don't want anybody else to, having kids and young people have to go through that is terrible. Like, nobody deserves to have that happen to them. Nobody deserves to, you know, be misgendered as their own goddamn gender. Okay, so if you are part of the LGBT community, and you're one of the people who think you're being supportive by encouraging people to transition, like online or even in person with very few details, and they haven't even seen a therapist, and they just mentioned it offhand, you're a fucking asshole, and you should stop. Stop, okay? People need to not encourage this kind of shit. Like, there's nothing wrong with being trans, but just keep it to yourself, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna end this video soon because I'm tired and I need to clean up my coffee that's sitting next to my desk. But that's all I had to say today. Just a little rant about the problems that I see. I hope I touched on everything. I probably didn't. And the other stuff that I will not be touching on today will be in future videos. So if you like controversial topics and all other sorts of shit, go ahead and hit the sub button and follow me around. Not like a stalker though, please. But yes.